Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
What if the real impact of AI isn't about working faster or automating tasks? What if it's about holding up a mirror to your company, making you see what's really there? Every organization has two systems. There's the one you can point to in a handbook or a flowchart, and then there's the one that lives in hallway conversations, unspoken rules, and gut decisions. The written contract and the unwritten one. AI isn't just another tool to bolt onto your processes. It's a chance to discover what's actually happening beneath the surface. It can reveal the gaps between what you say you do and what you really do, but only if you're willing to look. Imagine a moment where everything comes down to a single choice. One pilot, 6 seconds, and a decision no algorithm could ever make for you. That's the space where technology meets humanity, where data can inform but not replace your judgment. This episode of Follow the Brand goes where most AI conversations won't. We're not just talking about surveillance or efficiency. We're asking, is your technology watching, or is it helping you see? After 5 years and over 260 episodes, this is the conversation you need right now. I'm Grant McGaugh. This is Follow the Brand. The new episode with David Dean is out now. Don't miss it.
Welcome, everybody, to the Follow Brand Podcast. This is Grant McGaugh. It's a special day for me in particular because this is my 50th anniversary. And this is June 1st. I'm not sure exactly when this episode will drop, but it will drop pretty soon. But I want to let everybody know that this is my 50th anniversary. This is our 5-year. We've got over 260 odd episodes, 70,000 some odd downloads. We've got a ranking out there now by FeedSpot as the #1 personal brand podcasting station. That they gave me that designation, and also Thinkers 360 gave me that #1 ranking as well. And I really appreciate that. And that comes from the audience that listens to these podcasts, that find value out of these things. And it's really the people, it's the guests. And I'm telling you, today we're going to step in one of the most, I feel, the most important conversations in business, and that's the future of work in an AI-driven world. And you got a lot of people saying, will AI replace my job? But today's guest, David Dean, challenges us to ask an even deeper and more powerful question. And that is, what does AI reveal about how work actually gets done? See. So let's flip that a little bit because David is an author, he's a speaker, he's a technologist. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to these types of things because these decisions really appear in what we call process documents, but determine whether these companies actually function, documenting the work that's being there. So that's going to be his core message, what he's talking about. I don't want to waste any more time. I want you guys to tune in to what David is talking about. So, David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me. David Dean, I've been working in the technology space for almost 20 years. But more intimately is I've had the opportunity to live amongst the everyday leader and the everyday team. And as a part of that experience over that 20 years, I've had a lot of opportunity to have proximity to a lot of challenges and issues and goals, for all these different types of front level dynamics with it. And as I moved up in my career into solution design and development and architecting, and as well as strategy, and then AI kind of entered this space. There's a lot of questions, a lot of things coming out, and my background in hindsight allowed me to start kind of putting together some things, some clarity in which, as AI is entering this world, uh, in a way that hasn't initially really been presented yet, with it. And that's really my goal around being out here and talking to people is really to create a new avenue, a new message that people can kind of guide and latch onto in this AI driven world.
I tell you, I got a question.
Sure.
And because this kind of happened with myself, I've been in technology 30 odd years. I remember when voicemail was a thing, like it was something new,
Mhm.
natural language processing in a voicemail, 1, 2, 3. Well, that was kind of a big deal. Video conferencing was only for the elite. I mean, you had to have a lot of bandwidth and a lot of money to do this. Now it's commonplace. Anybody can video conferencing right now. AI is a special bird. It's a platform that has a lot of moving parts, a lot of capabilities than previous iterations of even the internet, mobile computing, what we're doing now, cloud computing. How do you see? I mean, how did this take you by storm? Did you have an aha moment like, wow, this is really something big?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing around it was there's like amazing opportunities. There's all kinds of incredible things with that, and you've seen a lot of the what I call the what ifs out there. Like, what if we could do this? What if we could do this? And people are demonstrating tastes of all of these opportunities with it. And um, and looking at that, I was like, and being able to test and evaluate and kind of ideate from a solutioning standpoint, I'm like, there's a lot of opportunity here. The one thing that I have, but I'm a very realistic and practical individual. I actually classify myself, I coined the term business AI realist. That's how I kind of call myself out. Is that looking at all of these different opportunities and then reeling it back to kind of the reality of how everyone does their job, everyone does their work. You know, change takes a while, and some things move really fast, and some things move really slow with it. And the one thing in all the like past technologies out there, it's still technology, and it's still changed our culture with it, but it's still a tool and it's still technology with it. In this aspect, AI is here to mimic human behavior. That's what it's here for, essentially, with it. Um, and it's a tool, but it can be utilized in a lot of other different ways with it. But the one thing is that I talk about AI being this third presence in this ecosystem, and there's a culture change that needs to happen and a mindset change on what AI means when it's entering everyday work with it. And and I don't think we're there yet. I mean, culturally, like despite all these amazing things that are happening, there needs to be an equilibrium that needs to happen, and we're still kind of like it's still like the Wild West, out
Yeah.
there right now, and it hasn't baselined yet, and the one thing that is like, how do I make this work for what I use this term, the AI survivalist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the AI survivalist is what I call that everyday user who, they come to work, they do their job, they do their things. AI is now another tool. Well, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my job? All these different dynamics with it, and they're really still trying to get answering that question. What does that mean? With it, and because of the volatility out there with it, that's still trying to be translated there. And I'm trying to help get things grounded, kind of reel things back, have a little bit more clarity on making it real in the workplace and not from a what if standpoint.
I like that. I call that applied technology. I've always been a physics guy. I love physics. I only got a
Mhm.
C in it, but I liked how it worked because it wasn't about the answer you got, is how you got there. They wanted to
Mhm.
understand your process, your creative thinking, your design work,
Mhm.
right? Your analytical thought process. I like, and I think we're starting to reveal some of that because the computational model can be done like that. I remember when we started using calculators in school, and
Mhm.
everybody thought, "Oh my, everybody's cheating now." Now nobody
Mhm.
cares that you use a calculator. Like they want you to
Yeah.
get to the answer. It's nice that you do understand the process. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but you can get there quicker. And I think AI, a lot of times it's about speed to the right answer, speed of work. How can you get the speed to market for what you're doing? I also like the communication fabric that it brings and the different modalities that it has that it can
Mhm.
do. I never had one tool that can simultaneously do mimicking human speech, text
Mhm.
messaging, getting into natural language processing, getting into image creation, getting into video creation at scale. It's very, very big. So my question for you is about starting with the big, your big idea about behind what you do, right? You said that
Mhm.
AI acts like a mirror inside of
Mhm.
organizations.
Mhm.
What exactly does AI reveal that leaders have historically been able to ignore?
So the one thing that I talk about with AI is, and kind of my overall message is, what if the biggest thing that AI can do is not about tools and acceleration, but create organizational self-awareness with it? That is really the opportunity that AI can help organizations to truly understand themselves. And the biggest thing that I talk about, and this is where proximity comes into play, uh, is that, I've been in the dynamics with executives and dynamics as a frontline level, so I kind of know like how all those organizational dynamics work. But there are two systems in every company. There's two systems. There's a documented system and the undocumented. I also refer to as the written contract and the unwritten contract.
Yeah.
The written contract is our process documents, our company values, our policies and procedures, our presentations that we move up the chain, saying this is how we're doing, this is what's going on, that type of thing. That is the official documented avenue, of an organization on how they do business, and it's how it's presented out to people. Then there is the undocumented, which is really actually how you get the job done, with it. And so when you think about the written contract, all the steps that are relating to those are documented, they're controlled, they have certain things with it. But the reality is that each of those steps have, you know, infinite potential amount of undocumented steps in order to make that happen with it. And so since all the official written contract is well documented, that's usually what's presented. So there's a lens there, but the undocumented is really telling the story of how the company actually operates and the opportunities and challenges it faces every day. And the reality of that undocumented work has been highly fragmented across the organization. Certain people say something, certain people know things, and it's kind of spread across different things. You could get to that knowledge and that information, but it's a lot of work to like figure that out and stuff. So for the first time now, uh, AI has given this opportunity for us to discover this. And this is what I call the inbox. Because email's been around forever. It's a centralized place for all of our communication, for all of our organizational dynamics that we have, the behavioral record of how an organization works. And that's what I say is that the inbox is that it's the behavioral record of all the communication and collaboration data on how the organization behaves. And now you have added AI that can connect to all of that dynamics, all of that information, connecting to email, connecting instant messages, connecting it to meeting transcripts, and document comments, all of those dynamics, as well as published material. So you still have all your official stuff out there too. But now you have where everything has been fragmented and you have siloed people kind of telling the story, you can now put things together in order to be able to create awareness around it. So you can start figuring out challenges and stories and issues in that undocumented layer. And so how I guide people around this is that don't use AI right now, at least from a front door. You don't use AI to like build a tool and stuff. Use AI to discover yourself, discover where your challenges are in your unwritten contract behaviors and then utilize that to address your challenges as a company, with it. So for example, most common example, approval process. Every company has an approval process. And a lot of times it's usually a very common complaint. Like things take forever to approve. Well, why? Why does it take forever to approve with it? What are the dynamics of why it takes challenging for that? And if you start connecting the dots, it tells a story. Your emails, your instant messages, all the behavior, all the conversations back and forth tell a story on potentially why that approval process is taking it a while to happen. And it's not just in the moment, it's historically over time. Let's look back like 2 years worth of emails and instant messages. What does that tell us there? And what you may find out is based on people, they're afraid to make decisions, or they're way overloaded. They don't have the capacity to deal with that. They're in like 30 meetings a week. Nothing's ever going to get approved because of how busy they are and that kind of stuff. So those are kind of those behavioral dynamic issues, because it doesn't take AI tool to solve it. It takes AI to help you create that insight, so then you can go have human conversations about addressing those issues and problems.
Mhm. I love that. I like how you put that. It's about the use case. What are you really finding out about your business operations, your day-to-day workflow? I don't think a lot of people realize this, but only 5% of our known world universe is visible to human beings.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that. So you see the stars in the sky, that kind of thing. But dark matter is like 90 some odd. What if we started to see more of that dark matter? So and I bring that up as an analogy of what you're talking about, because that dark matter actually supports the visible universe that we see.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you don't document those things, and I do a lot, especially in the investment banking realm, due diligence, that they have to have documentation of processes in order for you to get to a point of where you showed me how you're getting these values, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the math ain't math, then you'd be like, something's not there. But sometimes in that human messiness, as we call it,
Mm-hmm.
actually is the formula for success that's there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you kind of put this together in a book. If people don't know, you got to go check out this book. It's called An Inbox Between Us. An Inbox Between Us, that talks about exactly what you just said, that it's more than just a communication tool. It's about the behavioral record of what really is happening every day that you couldn't get to before, but now you might have an opportunity with AI if you're getting the right kind of dictation and transcripting and you're starting to see the workflow more. So more is visible to you. I think that's
Mhm.
very, very important because people are like, oh, is AI going to replace me? I will tell you this, it's going to change the work, the the workforce itself because it sits on a platform. That platform is now AI. So now it's context to where it's going to change. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean you won't have a job. It's just what the job you do may be different from what you're doing
Mhm.
before because they've discovered all these other things, right? And I know you made that real good distinction about between a job title and then the actual behaviors that create the value. Here's the
Mhm.
question about that is why do you believe that jobs are labels and what should professionals focus on instead of if they want to remain relevant? How about that?
Yeah, so the one of the things when I was writing this book in the first several chapters is I have to remind people on how they behave, like why they do the things that they do, from a personal level and an organizational level around that, because people forget and it's the little things, those little dynamics around it. And the story that I'm building up to relating to all of these hidden dynamics is essentially why do we hire people in the first place?
Okay.
With it. And because it kind of brings into this conversation is what is the relationship with AI in this world? And I talk about in the book, the AI is a third presence. It's a relationship. I have in the work, it's different from the personal standpoint, but it's not terribly different, is that I have a relationship with the organization, me as the employee, and now I have AI as a part of it. It's a triangle of a relationship. What does that dynamic mean? And what is that relationship ongoing? And relationships take work. They take effort, with it. We have to figure out, we have to get comfortable with each other, just like with a company, same way with AI with it. That's the human aspect of us, doing this thing. But the AI is still figuring us out as we are figuring AI. And so uh, what we want to try and do is kind of realize where do humans matter in this aspect. And the one thing that I kind of call out, and I take a firm stance on this, is whether AI today or AI 15, 20 years from now, whatever that looks like, even AGI, there is one thing that humans will always have that AI will not, and that is understanding of lived experience and lived consequence with that.
Hmm.
And until that machine crawls out of that computer and lives amongst humans like humans, it's not going to truly understand that those lived consequence and lived challenges with it. I mean, you look at like Star Trek and Commander Data and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
still figuring out and that type of thing. And those two things are kind of the real underlying aspect of why we hire people. We hire people, they do a job, they do the official description, but you think about at the very bottom of almost every job description, other duties apply. So you're whatever we throw at you, you're going to do that, and we've hired you to basically figure all that stuff out, with it. And so the one thing we forget about is how amazing from a machine standpoint, how amazing machines we are with it. I mean, you think about it, we are processing millions upon millions of different inputs every second with how we feel, how we touch, how we sense. And we're thinking about upstream, downstream, all these different types of things with it. We're constantly thinking, constantly making choices with this around it. We are a completely different machine. And this is why we hire people. Because when things don't go the way it needs to, when things don't have issues and problems come up, when customers are having issues, problems come up, we want someone to step in and take care of it, essentially. That is one aspect of why we hire people is that we are capable of dealing with the unknown really
Hmm.
well in comparison to AI. Now, I'm not saying that AI can't eventually get there, but it's still controlled, amount of knowledge and controlled experiences with this. And I like to use this example. The unfortunate situation that happened at LaGuardia several weeks ago,
Yeah.
with it. Um, the pilot had a 6 second choice to either swerve or hit that fire truck dead on with it. In that 6 second, and all the experience that he had as a pilot, all the years of experience, he knew the choice would be is if I hit this dead on, I'm likely going to die. My colleague's going to die. But likely I'm going to have very, very minimal casualties for all the hundreds of passengers that are sitting behind him with it. If I swerve, that changes dramatically, with it around it. I could potentially survive, but a whole bunch of passengers could die. He had 6 seconds to make a critical decision like that with it around human life, human experience. And he understood the downstream consequences, that the effects of his family and all of his friends and all that kind of stuff. That's why I talk about lived consequence and lived experience with it. And AI will never know that, with that. And I actually asked this at a legal conference, is like, what is the price of human life, in that circumstance with it? Because AI has, when we start doing the very sophisticated things where we're interfacing with human life, it's making decisions, but there's a cost and a risk and statistics around it. There's a difference between statistics and a difference between just that lived experience that we naturally trust humans about, regardless of whether we know them or not. There's some instinct about that. That's why we hire people, and that's why we value humans in the workplace to be a part of those dynamics. And so what I try to do when I talk about practically in this, when it comes to executives and making decisions around AI, you think about all that undocumented work. What if instead of trying to say we're going to, replace people or anything like that, or we're going to try to eliminate positions, how about we recognize that we have not given you, everyday user, the opportunity to breathe in your workplace. We throw you with all kinds of stuff, expect you to survive in everything that we throw at you. What if the narrative is saying, we recognize everything that you do for us. We appreciate that. We're going to embrace AI to give more time to you because of the things that we value you more. And we value you for your ability to think critically, think proactively, because you think about everyone has a backlog of things they would love to do in their job and their position with it. They never get the opportunity to do that. So why not change the tune and say, we're going to use AI to give you that breathing room to help advance yourself and advance the company. And you do that at scale, and that's your story. But the only way to do that is to create organizational self-awareness.
I love what you said there. Organizational self-awareness. The mirror effect, I go back to the very, very beginning, what you talked about. I believe we've never seen a mirror of this magnitude. We're starting to see humanity on a wholeness basis, the wholeness of our intelligence, the understanding of our world, our information, in a click that you can get this kind of information. We never had that kind of capability before. So now you're saying, well, what else is there? And you have to ask yourself that hard question. Are you just a computer? Are you just an analytical being? And the answer to that, most people go, well, no, of course not. No, that's only one aspect of what you are. And the creative aspect, the judgment that you are, the appreciation of who and what you are as a being. Most people don't realize that the human brain and its computation of what it does and what it's doing all the time with all its neurons, it would take, I think someone said it would take like 27 data centers to emulate, just one human brain. And this has been going on for just a few million years. So let's not discount the intelligence that has become the human species and what its capabilities are and what its destiny is. I like science fiction, as you alluded to earlier, because it starts to show what it would be like with humans interacting with its creations, robots, and what their use case is. What would you use them for? What are they good? They're good at getting you information quickly for you can make a lived experience. And sometimes I love the analogy of why Captain Kirk and why Spock. Sometimes Spock is ideal But a lot
Hmm.
of times, Captain Kirk would do something that the computer, the logic doesn't compute. A
Hmm.
machine will always try to follow the logic, where a human being understands that unknown, is willing to dive into the unknown. There's no data inputs, there's no past, there's no present, only a potential future. That is what gets your blood pumping, right?
Hmm.
And that creates great, and that's why we like sports and some other things that are out there that keeps us human and keeps us active. But that said, still AI has a place. We need to understand its place. And to your point, I don't think we don't really have that. We don't have the confidence and the risk and the consequence. Where is all that going to work out in human judgment? And there is going to be this great shifting because there's certain things you can do. I would want to take somebody with a particular genius and put them in a role that they can really showcase that genius without being burdened with this other things that are just sucking up their time for no
Hmm.
real good value. So
Hmm.
here's my question is that when AI creates more visibility and
Hmm.
it creates how decisions are made, it can also create tension because now you got new information that you didn't have before. Why does greater visibility make some organizations uncomfortable? And what responsibility comes with seeing patterns that leaders used to be able to ignore, but they can't now?
Yeah, so um, it comes down to intent and perspective relating to this. And this is one of the biggest things that I was trying to push from the book because I don't think organizations are ready for what I reveal in the book about this behavioral record and what that ultimately means with it. Because what it does push is it pushes authenticity.
Mm,
And so you think about with AI, you want it to be authentic, you want it to be real, you want to have the most accurate answer. The same way goes for that behavioral record with it. Now, does it have the whole picture? Absolutely not. It does not have the whole picture. But you forget about the other major system that's a part of the equation, the people. So the idea is that what does AI do? It sees patterns, it sees signals with it. So when you start looking at the behavioral record of your workplace, you start seeing things that you were not prepared for to see with it. The story, a lot of those kinds of I would say the negative aspect of this, the things that people are not ready to see and prepare for, are a lot of those kind of dynamics that are what I would call water cooler conversations. A couple people get together and they start chatting back and forth about the challenges around organizational dynamics with it. But I'll give you an example of a real use case of it. You in email communications. So you're a leader and you converse with your team back and forth with it. I, as an employee, can now discover that um, you respond to other employee 90% of the time and you only respond to me 20% of the time. That is showing, in my mind, favoritism with
mhm.
it. I may be completely wrong. However, if you look at that pattern and look at over it for like over a year,
Okay.
that's harder to ignore, in that regard with it. These statistics with it. Now, is it going to be 100% accurate? Absolutely not. With it. It doesn't is it going to understand all the circumstances? Absolutely not. However, then you have you and your mind and everything you've perceived and everything you've interacted. You have your own story and own knowledge related to it. You put two and two things together, that tells another story there with it. So a lot of these things are fragmented and have been for years with it, but now you can start building these stories together, with it. And I was at a legal conference, as I said earlier, and I was in front of a bunch of attorneys and compliance officers. I said, "Does anyone know what this tool, like what I'm describing, is called? Because it does exist. There is a tool out there that does this with it." And they had to think for a second. I said, "E-discovery tools."
Oh
So
yeah.
when you are in a legal situation and you are researching all of the dynamics and the behavior that happened in that situation for a legal issue or problem, you hire attorneys and they go and comb through all the emails and they look at everything that was said and all that kind of stuff with it. Well, essentially by connecting email to, kind of the self-service AI is how I refer to it. I now have an e-discovery tool myself as the everyday user. I can start asking questions. I can start putting puzzle pieces together to tell a story around it. Now, and I talk about this in the book, and I also talk about this from a downstream in my newsletter around this, but it all comes down to intent. So it can be used in a very positive way and it can be used in a very negative way, with it. What is your goal around these different types of, I call surveillance or insight? Surveillance or insight. And and so and I wrote a newsletter on what I call like the observant climb. And it's comparing two up and comers that want to gain the attention of executive leadership. So they start looking at the inbox and harvesting insights out of the email and correspondence and meetings and that kind of stuff and storing it and building stories to because one wanted to get ahead and to get into that leadership position with it, and he's going to speak the language to kind of swoon an executive to get that open up position in the higher level. Or
Correct.
you have the person who's looking for insight. I want to communicate and collaborate better as a leader. What kinds of insights, what kind of story do all these leaders tell me on how they communicate, how they collaborate? How can I practice and train myself to engage with them better so that I can eventually move into that role with it? So you can see kind of, both angles with it. And this is the reality of this organizational dynamic out there is connecting that. People are doing this in the workplace. They've quietly figured some of these things out. I figured it out over a year ago, and that's why I started writing about it because I'm like, you know, I'm not sure if people are quite ready for this kind of dynamic yet, in the workplace
Yeah.
and connecting it with it. So when I talk about governing AI from a strategy standpoint, I always say it's 40% technical, 60% behavioral because AI, when it comes to security and controls and governance, you usually have a controlled set of inputs and controlled set of outputs. When it comes to I have an infinite number of inputs and an infinite number of outputs. That's why I said behavior and behavioral understanding, behavioral education is critical, up front in this kind of new dynamic world. And so you need to understand what that means and work that out. What is appropriate behavior? What is not appropriate behavior, with it? Because you can't stop it, you can't block it. And even if you were to even if there were guardrails that you could like try to ratchet that down, you're going to smother the large language model. It
Yeah.
won't be as effective as what you hope it to be with it. And so it kind of drives the organization to be more authentic in how they work. And
Wow. Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to create understanding and awareness around.
You're in my book, and then I showed you this earlier.
Hmm.
First Light, right?
Hmm.
Brave Path to Authentic Leadership. Brave is an acronym, right?
Hmm.
And it talks about a lot of these things that you just brought up in this conversation and what we're getting to, especially when you think authenticity, authentic, that's the A in brave.
Hmm.
So you just did that with first you got to identify who you are. How do you see yourself? How does the corporation really see itself? And it sees itself, remember what I said earlier, only 5% of the visible or of the world is visible to human beings. 5%. It's not a lot. So there's
Hmm.
95% that's not out there. So how do you identify yourself? And is there a disconnect of how you see yourself and how others see you? What does that really look? And are you willing to go further and seek that out, right? And now we're
Hmm.
getting to that R word, that resilience. We got to be resilient now with this new platform. AI is there, as you said earlier. You can't really get around it. Most people, oh, I'll just shut it off. Like it's not so simple. We've graduated. We actually live within a digital construct.
Hmm.
Whether we real, like, how many people are going to shut off your phone, shut off every electronic device, shut down all your bank account, shut off everything, and just live off the land, like we used to say way back, because that's what you'd have to really do. So you're
Hmm.
in this digital construct. How do you be resilient in that world? This authenticity, because now it's like, all right, what was I thought was invisible is actually visible,
Hmm.
but do I choose to see it? And then do
Yeah.
I pretend that other people can't see it?
Yeah.
because that's where you get disconnect, right? You get a lot of disconnect there. And
Mhm.
then you look at your values, and are your values really aligned with all those things? Because if you execute, which is the whole brave world together, if you execute on data or information or knowledge that's not truly aligned and it's not authentic, you're going to get a disconnect. It's
Mhm.
never going to be exactly what it's going to be. And we call that in the humor world messy, right? That's why you get a lot of messiness because you got a lot of inaccurate communication that comes around. And as you whittle it down, sometimes it becomes more clear, like an
Mhm.
old Polaroid. It takes time for it to get clearer and clearer. So, to your point, and I want people to really take this home, AI is still learning us as we are learning it, and we're learning more about ourselves. Let's let that
Mhm.
sink in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up your book and a lot of the questions that you call out because the a lot of these questions that with all the lived experience that you have and that clarity around that meaning there, those questions can now be asked about yourself to a record that you couldn't really see at scale. And because the AI is there to industrialize human behavior. So
Mhm.
now theoretically, like, hey, I want to self-discover myself. I'm going to read, I'm going to look at things, but now it's like, but that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of thinking in order to do that. And you're still going to need to do that. But now I can theoretically make copies of myself to
Mhm.
basically say, focus here. What does this say? You focus here. What does this say? You focus here. What does this say? Now put it all together because that's what AI, it's all story building.
Right,
Small
right.
stories to a bigger story,
Or-
essentially, with
Yeah,
it. So, what is your story? What does your story tell you now? You have data now. You have data to tell you that, and so this is. I get asked this a lot. Like, what is something practical? What is something realistic that a person can do, who's struggling on like understanding what AI can do for them in the
mhm.
workplace, whether
Yeah.
you're a leader or an individual contributor, and I say, well, give yourself the opportunity to self-discover. So we have mobile devices. Those mobile devices have dictation capabilities with it. Go and write your story.
Mhm.
Go and speak your mind, everything that's going wrong, all the issues, your problems, all of your dynamics, your perspective, how you do your job, how do you do all these different things. Get it all out. One, it's helpful therapeutically, to
Yeah.
get that out with it. But then you're creating a bunch of opportunity that can be discovered. So now I have all of this information. AI, what does story does this tell me?
Yeah.
And then as you get into kind of the more the behavioral science questions, those harder questions around it, what else can you tell me? But you as a person, regardless of what it says, you are still accountable. You
Mhm.
still have to use all your lived experience and consequence to decide what is accurate and what is not, with it, because it doesn't have the full picture, but
Sure.
it does create those signals and those opportunities to discover. And in this kind of workplace dynamic, so like in personal emails, you're only getting the dynamics of like, your friends, your family, and that kind of stuff. But in the workplace, it shows you all kinds of dynamics. As you said, how do people perceive me?
Mhm.
How, based on how I said this or how I'm doing things, what conclusions they could potentially come from this? That is something that's really helpful, leader or as an individual contributor, is to self-discover. And that is the opportunity. To me, that's the frontier is is for us to kind of rediscover ourselves and create more compassion, more harmony with each other. Because the reality is all of us have these dynamics. We're all
Yeah.
the same. We're all human, with it. So if we can figure out a way to be more um, bring ourselves together as a society, it's like, hey, we all have problems.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out together.
I'll get the awareness up. So we have a higher awareness. Now,
Hmm.
understanding that is our key differentiator when it comes to what we can machine,
Hmm.
what can we mirror, is that
Hmm.
higher awareness, especially if we as we grow in our own self-discovery. And then as that grow from just self to family to work to community, and we
Hmm.
become more conscious and aware of what we're doing, the intent, as you said, behind. I think this has all been great David, we're coming to the end now.
Hmm.
And I want to make sure that people know that, first of all, you got your book out. They got to know where to buy this book. And you've got something else coming out around the book that I think people, I know I took advantage of it. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the book's been out for 3 or 4 months now with it, but I have an audiobook version coming out here in July. And because when I wrote this book, it was a series of journals essentially, because I was trying to figure out how to explain AI to the everyday person. And so then, but essentially I was trying to explain it to me, with it around it. And so the only way I could figure it out was to digitally journal this, with it. And it was a lot over a long period of time. And I'm like, people need this. Like I see comments everywhere on LinkedIn and social media and that kind of stuff. People are asking for, what does AI mean and what is the reality? I don't need the what if right now. I don't need the how to right now. I need something real, something that I can relate to in how I do the things how I do everything every day with it. And what does that mean? This presence, AI coming into it. What is that dynamic? That's what I'm trying to write to. And I'm really trying to help people in order to understand what this means, because my book is still will still be relevant even 10 years from now, with it, because human dynamics are human dynamics with it. So
Right.
um so um because I see people suffering out there, and I want to make it real, and I want to help educate like all the other kinds of AI dynamic personas out there. And so the biggest thing is I want to tell the people in regards to the story around AI is that you are valued, you will always be needed. And the biggest thing is that a lot of times you never get this opportunity in all of your jobs, but I want to say I want to thank you for all the services, everything that you do for all of us every day. You may not get that thank you. I want to try to help represent and thank you all for everything that you do.
I think that is a beautiful, beautiful way to end us. Everybody's got to lean in and what because we're all in this together. It's almost like when we went through the COVID experience. The whole world, had to be a part of the science experience, and there was
Yeah.
nothing you could do about it. The whole world is in this AI experience, and we all are going through it. Whether you like it or not, kicking and screaming, it doesn't matter. We're here. But how are we going to rationalize it? Where's my place in it? You put that in such good context. Like I went to write a book for other people, but it actually was helping yourself about, seeing yourself around
Hmm.
certain behavioral patterns that you have. And I hope, things as you've written the book and you've gotten through it, that you've seen a positive arc around all of that and you're moving forward. So before we leave, last words first, you got to tell us again how to get the book and then hopefully get the audio book, the audio podcast as well, and then how we can tune into your audience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my book is available in all major, book retailers. It's available in all ebook platforms. Essentially, I went distribution wide. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, all those different areas with it. The audiobook will be, once it's ready, I will have out all across other distributions. I wanted to be available in the library and all that kind of stuff when it eventually comes out as well. So working actively on it. And you can find more about me is davidchristopherdean.com. And the book, a lot more about the book is there as well.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, David, for being on the Follow Brand podcast. I want to encourage everybody to remember today was my 5th anniversary. Today we had David Dean talking about something that all of us are curious about. We need to get more, wrap our minds around this and our workflows and what we're doing. How do we utilize this to our best benefit? Think the cell phone. Cell phone had been around since 1980s, right? But it really took off, when it started to be more than just being able to do telephone system, right? And it became this big construct. So social media, everything else. So mobile compute got big. AI is bigger than all of these things, and we need to understand our place in it and how we get our swim lanes, how we can be better at this. So I encourage all of you to tune in to all the episodes of Follow Brand, and that is the number 5. That is STAR BDM. That's B for brand, D for development, Masters.com. Thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. You take care of yourself.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
I love the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Brant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
I really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
The difference between influence and legacy, it's the platform that carries your voice. You're not visible because you lack talent. You're visible because your brand doesn't speak. I've built 5-star BDM to change that. Most leaders have the expertise, but not the presence, the vision, but not the vehicle. Across 3 cities, one brand is helping leaders rise above the noise. Here in the heart of Omaha, strategy isn't left to chance. It's engineered with precision. In Omaha, we engineered your executive brand, AI-powered, data-driven, precise. TISA went from a local nonprofit to a national speaker in 90 days. We don't guess your brand strategy, we build it. On the shores of St. Croix, your brand takes on depth and meaning, shaped through curated retreats and legacy experiences. In St. Croix, strategy becomes soul. Our retreats don't just refine your message, they rediscover your mission. One founder rewrote his entire company story here. Funding followed 30 days later. This is where leaders remember who they were meant to be. In vibrant Miami, momentum meets amplification, transforming your voice into a movement. In Miami, your brand becomes a movement. Business development accelerators, audience building. Joy came with an old website and an outdated company name, but she left with 5,000 followers and a waiting list. This is where you scale with soul. 3 cities, 1 mission. Your legacy ignited. It started with a thread. Let's pull it together. Stop blending and start leading. 5-star BDM, where legacy is engineered, embodied, and ignited. Visit 5starbdm.com and book your brand audit today.
Results don't come from doing more. They come from doing what matters at the right time. That's where Sentinel AI steps in. Built into this website, Sentinel is your voice and text assistant for business development. Just tell Sentinel what you need, and in minutes, you'll have ready-to-send assets. Your value proposition, outreach scripts, follow-ups, objection responses, and a simple KPI plan. Whether you're reaching out on LinkedIn, email, calls, or DMs, Sentinel delivers personalized scripts tailored to your audience. Plus, you'll get measurable outcomes, so you know exactly what's working. Engage now and walk away with everything you need to boost visibility, generate leads, and close deals faster. Sentinel AI by 5-star BDM, Business Development Simplified.
I want to thank everybody for coming out here and join our center here at the Enterprise L 96 and L. This is the grand opening of 5-star BDM in Omaha, Nebraska, my hometown, and I can't wait to bring these services in healthcare, technology, and finance to all of you. Welcome to 5-Star BDM Studio. This is where we are making the Follow Brand Podcast TV series and the Follow Brand Podcast itself. This is where the magic happens. Thank you again for tuning into the Follow Brand Podcast. I am your host, Grant McGaw.
we are going to feature those who are looking to scale and grow their business to the next level in the world of healthcare, the world of technology, and finance. I want to thank you all for tuning in week by week, because this is how we grow our brand to the highest level. I want to thank each and every one of you, first of all, for taking the time to share your vision, your ideas with us at 5-Star BDM, so we can take what you have and bring it to an ideal state. We want to focus on you. Welcome to the Follow Brand Podcast. Today we're going to talk about unleashing your visibility of value. One of the biggest problems that small business owners have is that their value is not visible. We change that for everyone. Now, for 5-Star BDM, and you're looking to be a client, you're looking to scale, you're looking to move yourself to a whole nother level, this is the way you do it. First, you book an appointment with me. You get a free consultation. We're going to talk about where you're currently at in your journey. We want to understand your brand assessment. From there, we start with the BRAVE framework. And the BRAVE framework that I have patented, I have a copyright and a trademark. We're talking about brand identity. We're talking about resilience. We're talking about authenticity. And we are talking about visibility and execution. If this rings true for you, it'll ring true for your business.
What if you could unlock the power of your personal brand, no matter where you are in your journey? That's the heart of Follow the Brand, a podcast where host Grant McGaw reveals that everyone, yes, everyone, has a brand worth sharing. Whether you're a Fortune 500 CEO, an entrepreneur in transition, or just starting to explore your purpose, this show is your invitation to discover what makes you unique. Each episode features intimate conversations with remarkable guests. You'll hear from branding legends like David Auker, Fortune 100 executives, quantum physicists, space mission launchers, and AI innovators. Grant dives deep into their stories, uncovering the purpose and authenticity that drive them forward. But this isn't just about learning from the best. It's about finding the universal patterns that connect us all. Through the BRAVE framework, brand identity, resilience, authenticity, vision, and execution, you'll see how a healthcare executive draws inspiration from an endurance racer's grit, or how an entrepreneur learns strategy from a CIO's tech journey. With over 225 episodes and 50,000 downloads, Grant brings 3 decades of business expertise and wisdom to every conversation. If you're ready to build your executive presence, navigate a career change, embrace new technologies, or simply tell your story more powerfully, Follow the Brand is your guide. Your brand and your purpose are already within you. Let's bring them to light.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming.
tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.firestarbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.